Hello, everybody. Thanks for being there. So today I would like to talk about the business part, especially on the B2B and the wholesale markets. And what I want to emphasize, which is obvious, but then better to say it, we are still on the way. And so I would like also to raise some points and maybe call to action to share with you the conditions really to develop these new businesses, to be successful in these new businesses, and of course for the benefit of our customers, because we have great promises that we want to develop. So for those who attended my talk 1 year ago, I was talking about fake virtualization because the promises obviously were not there. So we can consider that there have been progresses since last year, but still we are on the way. And that's what we must acknowledge together and really push for this to happen for real. So just to come back to the basics, what do we consider as potential new businesses? It's leveraging and, of course, monetizing the promise of quality on demand. I think it can fairly summarize these promises, and these promises coming from 3 technologies that we see as really synergic, technically and from the business standpoint. It's the 5G, the edge computing, and the on-demand networks. So what, of course, is sustained by the SDN and FNV technologies. And so, as an illustration, I come back to these promises and the quote of some of these that we often raise. It's the low latency that will be offered by 5G and by edge computing, and of course, combining the two is quite promising or even needed to have the end-to-end capability for our customers. It's also the big data handling at, let's say, in a cost-effective manner, thanks to the edge management, and could be, of course, empowered by artificial intelligence. And not to forget the security. So it's the way we can also customize the security. We can fairly size this security, not in an over-dimensioned way, and just as needed by the customer. So all these would generate this quality on demand promise, and it will even be more, let's say, perfect or fully available with the slicing, and then we can have this service-specific type of promise per vertical, per use case, whatever. So if you consider Industry 4.0, for example, they have specific use cases and needs. If you consider gaming and things like that, but the commonality here is always big data handling, is always low latency needs, and is kind of service specific, but combining these 3 technologies. So in a nutshell, we can say that if we are able to leverage these 3 together, then we can consider that we have 1 + 1 + 1 superior at 3, which is a kind of new mathematics. Maybe it's difficult to read, sorry. So even though we are still on the way, obviously, we consider that we are in the path, and we strongly believe, it's a strong conviction in Orange, that we may achieve this promise. And so it's both a promise from for our customers in terms of customer benefit, and a promise of business for the company, and promise of monetization. So why do we consider that? It's because we have already a business that is quite successful in the B2B market, and some offers that have been launched on the Worldcell market. And here I want to emphasize also that there's a new opportunity, and there's probably also new business models on the Worldcell market that we shall also together try to invent and to leverage. We are deploying indeed the 5G network, and simultaneously our SDN and FV, let's say, telco cloud with key functions. And so it's pragmatic, but it's really happening, and in a progressive way, we will reach full virtualized and full cloudified, I should say, 5G architecture for leveraging this full promise with the slicing especially. We are also considering edge computing, and indeed we want to handle this more or less on the same agenda, because once again, there are synergies from the technical side as well as from the business side, and here I'm more interested in the business side, but want to emphasize the conditions. And at last, we hope and we believe that it will help Orange, or operators generally speaking, to keep their leadership on the connectivity business. So for Orange, it's mainly in Europe and Africa, of course, that we are positioned. So what are the conditions, and what is the big deal on our way to this target and to this hope of new business? Here I want to emphasize that clearly we need, and it's not reached yet, it's not satisfied yet, we need first a carrier-grade positioning, and secondly, we need to fulfill, as usual, let's say, it's the basics of the operators, the interoperability capability. So this interoperability here, it's both between operators and including also cloud providers, because this full promise, and especially if I combine 5G and edge computing, it's quite obvious, this full promise encompasses both operators and cloud providers. So what does it mean basically, and what should we really leverage or progress on is the openness of the systems. And here I'm thinking about the SD-WAN systems, for example, or SD-WAN CPs. It's the API standardization, especially to be able to have the end-to-end promise, end-to-end service or solution for a single customer, including cross-border, of course. And the capability in the same appliance, in the same device, in the same cloud, to have multi-tenants. And of course, the condition is the fair and smart isolation between these tenants. And especially in the universal CPEs, for example, it's not at all the case. So we have here, if we consider the the business of the edge computing and the 5G, for example, that we could leverage on-premise for industrial campus. Let's take this example of a campus such as airports. We need multi-tenant by design. We need this isolation to be fulfilled. We need these APIs between the systems, both for the connectivity and for the cloud, and running DVNFs as well as the IT applications. And so if we focus a little bit more on the infrastructure and on the architecture of the systems, it means that really, and I think it's common knowledge, but I want to emphasize it, we need really to go till the cloudification. We need to forget virtualization, and especially if it's fake virtualization, and really pursue this cloudification. So it's, of course, the cloud-native VNFs or even CNFs. It's once again the universal CP that we can see as a small cloud on-premise. So that should be able to run both VNFs and IT applications. And this would be applicable for the B2B market as well as for the wholesale market. And we need, and I want to emphasize this initiative and to recall that all actors are welcome to join this initiative. We need to standardize our telco cloud, our YAS, as a community so that we are able to offer to the VNF developers, the VNF ecosystem, a significant reach, and so that we are able to certify, well, they are able to certify their VNFs on this infrastructure so that we have this one-click capability to deploy new services, so an enhanced time to market. Of course, one click is a little bit pushy, but it's an image. So really, we need those, and it's the condition for new business models also. When I talk about the wholesale market, it's probably not the traditional type of offers we used to see on the wholesale market with the MVNO business, for example. So it's here also a call to action for all of us being interested, because if not, and I come back to the previous message, we will not get this interoperability, which is the basic for the end-to-end promise to the customer. So it's applicable for the B2B business, because, of course, if we consider multinationals, they are cross-border, multi-site, and so on. So across different footprints of operators and cloud providers, but it's also true for the B2B2C business, such as the gaming one that we may think of, because, of course, if you are in the gaming industry, you want to reach your end user, your gamer, whatever the operator, the access, whatever the footprint. Okay? So really my message is that we have an ecosystem that is today quite splitted between telco ecosystem and IT ecosystem. When we consider the booths or the partners of the SDN World Congress, it's quite significant. And so probably we should try to leverage both these ecosystems to engage both these ecosystems, not to oppose them, and to really pursue this customer benefit. This customer benefit, once again, we can sum up it as quality on demand. It's both customized according to your business, according to your vertical, according to your business needs, and also it's real time, and that's once again the beauty of the SDN and FV, the beauty of the cloudified type of systems. So we have here a great opportunity, but it should leverage, once again, 5G plus edge computing plus on-demand networks to be a real breakthrough. And so we need to stick on this promise. We need to stick on this belief that these ecosystems should be engaged at the same level. Thank you very much. That's basically what I wanted to share with you. And if you have any question, we have 2 minutes left. Thanks to all, and we may chat around the coffee.